I've been better. I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday was
Did something happen this weekend?
Yeah,
that wasn't good for
yeah.
you?
It was a tough Sunday. Very frustrating game to watching my Chiefs go down. But overall, it was a crazy NFL weekend. A lot of stories going on. But yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
We will. All right. The stream is up. If you want to watch the show on X at Fletch and Sammy, on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. I apologize that it wasn't up on time. All right. Let's start with Sunday Night Football last night. It was a game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Atlanta Falcons, a game that was heavily bet on Minnesota to win. Now, you watch the game unfold, and both quarterbacks didn't play great, but one played significantly better than the other, as J.J. McCarthy, who had that heroic comeback win in week 1 against the Chicago Bears, really looked lost for a lot of this game. Did not seem comfortable within the Kevin O'Connell offense, and the Atlanta defense posed a lot of problems for him. That connection with Justin Jefferson just doesn't really seem to be there out of a couple of big throws so far. And Justin Jefferson, a lot of people would say, is the best wide receiver in football. So if that relationship isn't getting fostered, J.J. McCarthy's going to have some trouble. Now, we did get news that his status is in question for this weekend.
No, he's out. He's out next week. It's going to be Carson Wentz against Jake Browning for Vikings and Bengals next week.
I like that matchup a lot. But am I seeing something different here? J.J. McCarthy just has looked bad in everything except 10 minutes against the Chicago Bears.
This shouldn't be that surprising, though, when we think about it. Like, this guy has played one quarter of good football, and it's almost unfair to him because he's coming off. Well, he's an NFL quarterback. He needs to handle expectations well. But he has been put in an impossible situation. He hasn't played all last year. He only didn't have that many starts at Michigan. Yes, they won the national championship game. He had one passing touchdown at his most the last 7 to 8 weeks of the season, including the championship run. That was a team built on defense in the running game. He gets thrown in here, and yeah, I couldn't believe the Falcons were 3.5-point dogs in that game because, I mean, they, again, one quarter of good football on Monday night against the Bears, who had an epic meltdown. It's just, he does look lost. I wonder what we're going to be seeing, what Justin Jefferson, the fans are thinking. Like Sam Darnold. I mean, look at Sam Darnold yesterday. The Seahawks put up 31 points. You had a guy who was in the MVP race for most of the season last year, and you ship him off for a guy who hasn't really played that much. I expect him to get better, but yeah, tough start Sunday night for JJ McCarthy.
Now, for those who were curious, after we left Friday's show very much undecided on what team we were going to pick for Circa Survivor. We did end up, I'd say, panicking a little bit and going with the Baltimore Ravens. Lots of teams were in question for that. We ended up sticking with the Ravens. Good news is 491 people picked the Steelers and 355 people picked the Minnesota Vikings last night. So Atlanta getting that win, which Sammy was bullish on Friday, that Atlanta would be the team to win that game, helped us out in a big way. And we do survive and advance in the Circa Survivor pool. All right, a couple other games. Cowboys-Giants was an absolute thriller. Who knew Russell Wilson could still throw the football like that? But his connection with Malik Neighbors is dazzling. It was, at least yesterday. But some weirdness from Brian Dable, who in the last couple of drives of the game started alternating quarterbacks when Russ was having his best performance in like 4 years. He decided to start going Jackson Dart Russ, and not really having some huge creative scheme to go with it. I was confused by Brian Dable. Now, it ended up working. Russ bailed him out with a couple of long touchdown passes. But Russ cooking like that in a loss, the Giants were the most impressive team of the weekend that lost a game. But the Dallas Cowboys, it kind of feels like this is going to be their thing all year. They're going to be in shootouts all year because they don't have much of a defense. You could sort of run all over them. But Dak Prescott looks good and the offense is humming.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. Obviously, not a lot of defense played in that one. But, yeah, hey, I guess they're doing that to light a fire under Russell Wilson because it looked like it. I mean, Jackson Dart being platoon makes sense, but
he was up to like 400 yards in that game.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do against the Chiefs on Sunday. I thought Russell Wilson was going to stink it up on Sunday, and they were actually going to be turning to Jackson Dart. But yeah, Russ did look good. He throws the prettiest deep ball in the game, so maybe they unlock something in the offense. I mean, the Giants, that's always a fun rivalry, but yeah, the Cowboys are interesting. They look like a team that everyone kind of wrote them off after the Micah Parsons deal. They looked pretty good against the Eagles despite losing that game. You wonder what happens if CD catches those passes. And then now you got, now they got a big win week 2. So we'll see what happens week 3.
All right. We got plenty to react to in terms of an NFL Sunday, and we'll get back to the Padres here in about 7 or 8 minutes. But let's get to the big 3 of hour number 1. Tons of impactful injuries over the weekend. And yes, Patrick Mahomes has lost 3 consecutive games for the first time in his career. Let's go ahead, Sammy, and smash that button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
Sammy Long, where are we starting here on a Monday?
Yeah, let's start with that afternoon game.
Oh.
Chiefs Eagles. I'm already getting dogged on the text line. 858. It says fly Eagles fly. Nauseating. Yes, the Chiefs have lost 3 straight games. They're 0-2 for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career. Eagles won 20-17. Are you more up on the Eagles or down on the Chiefs?
I am up on the Eagles, I would say, leaving that game. Look, the Chiefs are in a bad spot until they're not, and they need to get healthier. They need receiving options. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of wide receiver trade potentially coming to the Kansas City Chiefs, either Tyreek Hill or somebody else, a name we don't know about. But the Chiefs offense needs help, and it needs to come in the form of skill position players. It doesn't help when you have Travis Kelce giving the game away. The Chiefs should have won that football game yesterday if Travis Kelce wouldn't have turned a touchdown into an interception. So they have some things for sure to figure out, and it starts with adding some skill position players. The Eagles, on the other hand, look, if they're not going to call offsides on the tush push, the Eagles are going to win pretty much every game they play because 3rd and 3 means nothing to them. They're going to convert that every single time. And I think the NFL does need to do something about the tush push. It is now affecting games. It's affecting seasons. I believe 100% it affected last year's Super Bowl. I'm not saying it needs to be banned, but at least needs to be regulated because at this point it's getting a little ridiculous. I actually thought the Chiefs should have won that game. I thought they played well enough to win. Mahomes is fantastic. There's no other word to say about him because even in a game where nothing was going right for him, he still had the Chiefs in position to win. And it kind of sucks that this is the situation we're in where this play, which I advocated to be banned, is now not even being called correctly, and it's changing the outcomes of games like this, which are incredibly important for postseason standings.
Yeah, let me get this out of the way. The Chiefs lost the game. I want to get the tush push in a second. The Chiefs lost the game on 3 plays. Number 1, Andy Reid and Matt Nagy, 4th and 1, calling a stretch play to Kareem Hunt, allowing the Eagles to penetrate the backfield. I thought it was a terrible call. That
was dumb. Why go side to side when you need to go forward a yard?
And the Chiefs are averaging 2.9 yards per carry. The run game has been dreadful through the first 2 weeks. Travis Kelce, obviously dropping that. You're looking at a touchdown, at the very least a field goal, and then it's going back the other way. And I think even despite Mahomes having a really good game, the miss to Tyquan Thornton at the 4:45 mark, even though he hit him for the touchdown at the 3-minute mark, was a massive issue because if they hit that pass without the timeouts, they're going to be able to just play defense. And the big positive for the Chiefs is that the defense looked really good. The defense, after being terrible against the Chargers, was completely buttoned up, and I thought was excellent on that side of the ball. The offense, I mean, it's tough right now. They dug themselves a hole. The season's not done yet because I would be more down on them if it was Rasheed and Worthy were there and Royals and they were playing like this. But the problem with the Chiefs is you can't get too far behind these standings just waiting for these guys to come back. They have to go 3-3 in the first 6 weeks. But they did lose yesterday, and it was on them for mental mistakes. Now, with the tush push, this play, I mean, we were both advocates against it. We might look back at this game as what gets this thing banned. And if you're an Eagles fan, you better go win a Super Bowl this year because I think it's going to be gone next year. Well, we saw that happen 5 times yesterday. At least twice they moved early, the right guard and the left guard on the 4th and goal on the goal line, and then the one in the 3rd and 1 at the end of the game. And then one thing that was crazy to me, the whole thing about the tush push is they rarely get it on the first run. It's the second push when he still hasn't touched the ground, which is why they get carried over. So it's like a constant forward progress, and they're never on the ground because they're sitting on a pile of bodies.
You're not saying separate downs. You are saying the initial push that they get. It's once Saquon comes in and starts really pushing from behind, that's when it happens.
That's why the play is so hard. If you look at the play a lot, they don't always get it on the first push. It's the second push. Drew Tranquil takes the ball away at the end while Jalen Hurts is on top of a pile of bodies, and apparently it's forward progress. So they can have forward progress and keep pushing as long as they're not on the ground, but a defender can't take the ball away. I think this play is just – my friend had an interesting thought about it. He said that if you're going to keep the play, you should not be able to run it consecutively. You should not be able to run the play 2 times in a row because it is crazy that it feels like the Eagles are playing with 1st and 9 every time or 1st and 8. it's ruining, I think, the integrity of the game. Again, the Chiefs lost the game. There's no excuses. They lost the game. But I think the tush push is a massive problem.
Well, and the left guard and right guard are jumping off early every single time. You could see it clearly on some of the sideline footage. I would love to just sit here and make fun of Sammy and call him an excuse maker, but this is completely valid. And anybody who says it's not, you're watching a different football game, because you could see the right guard and the left guard jumping early every single time they run this play. And if you're going to keep it in the game, you at least got to call it as if it's a normal play, because as of right now, it is just an insane, huge advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles over every other team in football. All right, we got one more we can squeeze in.
Yeah, story number 2. This one sucks. Joe Burrow, turf toe, going to be out for 3 months, electing to do surgery. The Bengals are in the market for a backup quarterback. Despite the Bengals being 2-0, do you think that their season's done? Do you think they have a shot to make the postseason?
Look, Jake Browning looked good. I would say yesterday's more about the Jags than it is about the Bengals. Now, the Joe Burrow thing, devastated for him, but Bengals, look in the mirror, because this is your fault. Is you're still not protecting him even after you paid him a massive contract. The offensive line sucks, and you're gonna lose Joe Burrow, or like they're showing on ESPN right now, we're gonna have another Andrew Luck situation where he maybe retires early or tries to force his way out of Cincinnati. And I would say all power to Joe Burrow, because when this dude is healthy, when he can survive a season, the Bengals end up in a really good spot. But the lack of defense, the lack of offensive line is killing his career earlier than it needs to. I feel terrible for Joe Burrow, but Jake Browning, I guess, step in, save the day.
Yeah, it sucks. Joe Burrow is a super fun player to watch. He's obviously in that big 4 in the AFC of quarterbacks, and that it's a bummer, because Joe Burrow is just an elite player. You look at the Bengals again, because this is a team that Joe Burrow, the one knock on him has been his injury history. He got injured in college. He's injured his first year in the NFL. He's dealt with this throughout his career. And with all due respect to Jake Browning, we'll see what he can do. That's the backup quarterback you went with. Like that's you didn't sign someone with a little bit more upside, knowing that this has been a problem in his career. We'll see what happens. Kirk Cousins is obviously backing up the Falcons.
Jameis Winston
in New York. So there's some options out there for them to win games. Hell, maybe the best thing for Cincinnati is that they lose out and they get a big pick and they finally get some defense next year. But yeah, it sucks for Joe Burrow. That sucks to see, and I never want to see anyone go down with injuries.
Brutal. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll get to Big 3 story number 3 on the other side, and talk some Padres. But some of these texts are hilarious. 619, Sammy, are you ready to apologize for your atrocious Bears worst to first pick?
I will. I'm not going to ever apologize for making a pick, but I was so wrong. I believed in Caleb Williams. I don't know what is going on with this team right now. They look completely disjointed, and as a Caleb Williams defender, it's getting tough, because he is missing some wide open throws over the middle that a number 1 overall pick simply cannot miss.
858 Niners made you sweat for that one, Fletch. The Who Dat tank job is still intact. 858 Sammy fly, Eagles fly, EAGLES. 858 Chris Olave to the Chiefs for a second and a third round pick. The asking price might be a little high, but that's what the Chiefs need to do. They need to go find a wide receiver to bring in. 858 Jameis Winston to the Bengals. 858 even in a loss, Mahomes is the class of the NFL. Go Raiders tonight. I agree with that, man. He is so damn talented. And then our Eagles fan chiming in. Eagles fan here, I agree. This is the last year of the tush push. There were several false starts that were not called, and it changed the game. And it changed NFC Championship game a year ago. It changes every game that the Eagles are in. And I think that this game might push it over the top. I agree with Sammy wholeheartedly. All right, take a quick break here at San Diego Sports 760. Aztecs football tickets coming up this hour. Billy Idol tickets coming up on the show today. Quick break here. Padres talk coming up next. San Diego Sports 760 presents our 2025 iHeartRadio Music Festival live this Friday and Saturday from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The biggest names across all styles of music together on one stage on one weekend. Many of these artists like Mariah Carey, Tate McRae, Tim McGraw, and others have headlined the biggest festivals around the world this year, and we have them all on one stage in one weekend. Experience the show live all weekend long. Stream it only on Hulu and listen on iHeartRadio this Friday and Saturday beginning at 7:30 p.m. Going to be very, very cool out in Las Vegas. Speaking of Las Vegas, we haven't even talked about that fight yet. Crawford Canelo.
Amazing.
Woo! That was fun, man. I was actually watching down at a bar in Pacific Beach. I had some family in town, so that's where we posted up to watch the fight. That was a fun night, man. I thought in the 11th, Canelo looked a little woozy for a second. I thought he might be going down, but Crawford wins, rightfully so. He dominated that entire fight, kind of disproving everybody who said, "Oh, he's not big enough to take on Canelo." He did just fine.
I was just shocked at both. Kudos to them for both doing it. Boxing's lacked these kind of big time matchups for years, and I was surprised at how. Yeah, he took Canelo's shot. We were seeing early in the fight, you're like, oh, what if he lands? And you could see in the 5th round, I believe, Canelo connected on a shot and Crawford started smiling. And you could tell at that moment he knew he could take his punch. And it was a totally different fight after that. Him catching and shooting his jab all night. In that 9th round, you saw Crawford come out and land that uppercut and then right cross. It was almost like Crawford could have stayed away a little bit at the end and tried to win this thing. And he wanted to prove to everyone that he could stand there and trade. I mean, being three division weight class undisputed is phenomenal. And like the judging was crazy. They had it tied going into the 10th round or into the 11th round, the judges, which is insane to me. I had Crawford almost pitching a shutout outside of that 5th round. But yeah, kudos to Crawford. Amazing performance and nothing like a big fight in Vegas. And
well done, Netflix. At least where I was watching, no lagging issues, no stream droppage. Good. Did you have anything?
No, I didn't hear it. I didn't see anyone have any lagging. I thought it was really good production. And but really
more of that, please, from the world of boxing.
Yes, 100%.
That was an incredible night, a great broadcast. Well done. And see if we can't get boxing back to that premier level of sports watching. Because that's exactly what it was on Saturday night. We don't need Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fighting each other. We need more of that. That was really well done from the boxing world. Congratulations to Crawford. Absolutely well deserved. He had an incredible fight. All right, Padres. Things have gotten interesting. So they do enough against the Colorado Rockies. It wasn't perfect, but they win 3 out of 4 in that series. And now they go on the road to take on the Mets. That game won't be until tomorrow night. I think it's like 4:10 or something. It's weird when they're on the East Coast, the night games. But they're taking on the Mets. The Mets, who have won what, like 2 of their last 10? I think they're 2-8 over their last 10 games, which has made the bottom of the National League wild card ridiculously interesting. The Dodgers took care of business over the Giants this past weekend. The Diamondbacks all of a sudden are surging at the best possible time. So the bottom of the NL wild card goes Mets, D-backs, Giants, all within 3 games of each other. Yeah, this is interesting because the Padres play the Mets right now and then finish their season with the Diamondbacks, who we kind of thought would already have been out of the discussion by then. But now they're very much in the discussion. And those 3 games will maybe be the difference between them making the postseason and them missing it.
Right. So right here, you have the Mets final one, San Fran 1.5 games back, Arizona 2 games back, and the Reds are still 2.5 games back, even though they have fallen back a little bit. Yeah, it's crazy because you look at Arizona. And had they not traded Eugenio Suarez or Josh Naylor, like they sold at the deadline. They were a team that for the first half, they were kind of a sexy pick to go far in the playoffs. And then, a lot of injuries hit them. Their big, free agent acquisition at pitcher got hurt. And then you got the Giants, who Giants started off the weekend hitting a walk-off home run, a walk-off grand slam off, no other than Tanner Scott on Friday against the Dodgers.
Tanner Scott is a Padres sleeper agent. I'm pretty convinced about it.
There's a lot of Dodgers fans in LA that believe so. And then on Saturday and Sunday, the Dodgers offense completely came to life. 10 runs in each game, absolutely destroyed them. Padres, I thought was nice over the weekend.
Manny hit a couple home runs.
Yes.
And he got the day off yesterday.
So it was nice to see that. They did what they had to do against Colorado. They took 3 of 4. It's tough to sweep a team over 4 games, especially a division rival, even though how bad the Rockies are. But now they get a test because, as you mentioned, Fletch said they're 2-10 the last 12 games. The Mets did hit a walk-off 3-run shot with Alonso last night. This team is such a team based on momentum and hitters. The Padres can really go make their mark heading in the postseason, I believe, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Because if you go beat a good Mets team, people are going to go, okay, this is the team we thought they were. But over the past 3 weeks, the only team that they've had success against the Padres is the Rockies. So this is a big opportunity. We'll see if the Padres can rise to the occasion being on the road. I can't wait for the series because these are the kind of teams that you're going to be playing in the postseason. We'll see how the Padres fare.
And I think the Padres have a monkey they need to get off their back. Jim Russell found that stat a couple of weeks ago, 1-9 in road series against postseason teams. That's what this is.
You're going to be going on the road to Wrigley probably.
Exactly right. So can you go into New York and handle some business against the Mets and put yourself in a situation where, there's 3 teams battling it out for that final wild card spot in the National League, but we don't have to worry about that because we've already locked in. It kind of looks like right now, unless I'm reading this completely wrong, Padres are basically locked into that 5th seed unless something crazy happens over the next couple of weeks.
And then it's funny because so if the Padres keep winning, then because the Dodgers play the Giants again this weekend. So if the Padres keep winning, then there's a shot that you want the Giants and then the Phillies to take care of the Dodgers. If the Padres falter a little bit, then you probably just want to be safe and have the Dodgers knock the Giants out. But this wild card is going to be fantastic. I wonder what team is most dangerous if they get in there. Probably the Mets. I think the Reds have a ceiling. The Giants.
But if the D-backs are the hottest team in baseball going into the postseason, you don't want to mess with that.
And it's funny. It's the same roster from when they won the World Series a couple years ago, or not won the World Series, got to the World Series. And that's how they got in. They
just got hot at the end of the season,
and then they ran through the Dodgers, they ran through the Phillies. So I don't know if it's that level of team, but yeah, I mean baseball is such a who's hot at the right time. It'd be interesting to see. And if you're the Dodgers, if you win the NL West, and you don't think you can catch the Phillies at that 2 spot, the Dodgers got to welcome an NL West foe in either the Giants or the Diamondbacks to town or the Mets. If you're the Dodgers, I don't know that you want to necessarily be playing an NL West competition right off the jump.
Yeah, this weekend I think was huge for Manny Machado. Gets a couple home runs, gets the off day yesterday. I'm glad he took the off day. I'm glad the Padres gave it to him so you could stack yesterday and today. You still get the win yesterday, even though it got scary a little bit late in that game. But as you move forward, Manny Machado, a couple days off. Hopefully that hot streak continues.
Do you think Manny just want to watch NFL football? So he took yesterday off?
I think he's in a fantasy football league with Hosmer still. So will Eric Hosmer be an all-star?
What about Tommy Pham? Is he still in that one?
Yeah. And he's slapping people like Mike Trout all the time. All right, quick break here. When we come back, let's get into some of these injuries to quarterbacks. There's actually a new one that just popped up within the last 10 minutes. That is going to be a huge impact. So Joe Burrow, JJ McCarthy, and a new one just added. We'll tell you what it is coming up next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport is paid for by Southern California Partnership for Jobs. Padres currently plus 5 games up on the Mets for the second wild card spot, and they're 2.5 back for the Dodgers. And in the NFL tonight, we got a doubleheader, 4 o'clock early game. Bucks taking on the Texans. Houston's currently favored by 2.5, while the Chargers are going to be in Vegas taking on the Raiders, who are the Chargers currently favored by 3.5 with the point total set at 46.5. That game gets going at 7 o'clock, and you hear that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Think traffic's getting worse. You're right. We waste 30% more time in traffic today. Vote yes on G. Fix streets and speed up commutes. Let's get home faster. Let's go San Diego. Vote yes on G. Ad paid for by Southern California Partnership for Jobs.
Tough weekend for NFL quarterbacks. We got 4 injuries that we are monitoring here on San Diego Sports 760. It is Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long. We're with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. And then, by the way, tonight, Chargers Raiders game. You will hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. I believe we have the Raiders broadcast, if you were curious. All right, as we move on here, let's talk about these quarterbacks. So Justin Fields, as of today, is in concussion protocol officially for that injury he sustained against the Bills yesterday. The Bills, by the way, who just ran all over the Jets. So that kind of helps us in a couple of areas, because we thought that the Jets and the Steelers were both a little better than I think they actually are because of the game they played against each other. Jets and Steelers both losing this weekend. But Justin Fields, kind of a scary injury. Concussions, you never know, especially with a quarterback. There's reports out of New York today saying if he doesn't practice Wednesday, most likely he's not going to be playing this week. So we'll see on Justin Fields. Joe Burrow one, we all know about. It's going to be 3 months till he sees the field again. Depending on where the Bengals are within 3 months, that might be a season ender for Joe Burrow, who I believe this would be the 3rd time in his career he has a season-ending injury. Horrible, awful, hate it. The new one that just hit the docket as of 12 o'clock today was J.J. McCarthy and Jaden Daniels. Both of them questionable for the next game. J.J. McCarthy actually out for the Vikings next game. Jaden Daniels is dealing with a knee injury. I didn't even know about this one. And he is officially questionable for their weekend matchup this week. So not a good week for quarterbacks in week 4. Not
a good season for second-year quarterbacks so far.
I'm getting flashbacks to 2 or 3 years ago in the NFL where we had like 59 different starting quarterbacks throughout a season. I can't do another one of those, Sammy Long. Put Patrick Mahomes in some bubble wrap, please.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%. The second-year quarterbacks, like J.J. McCarthy hurt. Then you have Jaden Daniels hurt. So it's funny watching that game on Thursday night. It was odd. I remember coming on the air on Friday being like, why didn't they run with him? And he was dealing with a knee sprain.
That's why.
So it was very odd. He was just in the pocket. Like, we take a look at these second-year quarterbacks, because obviously the Burrow injury sucks. But like Caleb Williams, massively struggling and looking more lost than he did last year. It was very odd. You thought Ben Johnson would get this fixed. I mean, I get you have 2 division opponents right off the jump, but unacceptable play from the quarterback spot. Bo Nix in Denver. Bo Nix does not look to be the same guy. I think
that interception yesterday was putrid.
I think you and I saw that coming. It's just like Denver was the sexy pick, and I get it. Denver has a big fan base. They used to be extremely good with Manning and Elway and everything. They there was a lot of years there. Trevor Siemian and guys like Paxton Lynch, so they were terrible.
Brock Osweiler, right?
Brock Osweiler, yep, got that 4-year contract.
Tim Tebow for a little bit.
Tim Tebow time. Tebow actually went to a playoff game.
He did.
It's like Bo Nix really been struggling. Drake May, that offense looks. I mean, I guess they got it going against Miami, but Miami's not a very good defense. It's interesting. Like Michael Penix has probably been the best second-year quarterback so far. Now, Jaden Daniels, I think you got to give a little bit of leeway because of what he did last year. He's had one bad start against Green Bay. Now you look at that knee sprain. But second-year quarterbacks, this draft class that we thought was like just generational transcending talents, we might only have like 1 or 2 of those.
And the news has gotten worse on J.J. McCarthy, now expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks from the latest report from Adam Schefter. What we thought was a 1-week injury looks like it might be 2 to 4. So this brings up a fun conversation, because you got 2 starting capable quarterbacks sitting on benches around the league right now. And we have one job that's opened up all of a sudden and another job that might be a perfect fit for another quarterback that is currently opening up with J.J. McCarthy. So let's go from the Bengals' point of view first. Joe Burrow out for the next 3 months. They need to bring somebody in because Jake Browning's not going to be the dude. Would you rather have Kirk Cousins or Jameis Winston slide in to be the starter of the Bengals, who, if we're being honest, have one of the better offenses in football, but they need someone better than Jake Browning throwing the football?
I would go with Winston simply because you have that offense is about being electric. And Jameis Winston can be electric. The problem with Jameis Winston is the turnovers and things like that. It's not Jameis Winston can be electric. Jameis Winston's had some big stats in his career and a lot of 4-touchdown games. The problem is comes with 3 interceptions. Now, if I'm Cincy, I know Cincy fans don't want to hear this, and it's 2 weeks into the season. They're 2-0. But in a weird way, you could be looking back in a year and the Bengals have a high draft pick, because the whole foundation of why we thought Cincy was still going to be a playoff team is built on Joe Burrow. He has to pick up the slack for the fact that the defense is not it. The defense is not going to be able to carry them to a Super Bowl, but we thought the offense might be so good that they could deal with a subpar defense. I don't know that any quarterback can come in, obviously not having Joe Burrow production, but can pick up this team because this team is so flawed, especially with the bad offensive line. But I think you got to go Winston simply because he can move, evade a little bit of that bad offensive line, while Kirk's a statue.
I think Winston also has a much more manageable contract. I don't think it's going to take as much to get him. If you end up going with Kirk Cousins, you might have to pay a portion of that salary, which yuck. He's making way too much money for that. Jameis Winston, at the very least, exciting as hell to watch. He might not win you a bunch of games. Maybe Kirk Cousins actually wins you more. But with Jamar Chase running down the field, T. Higgins also an excellent deep threat. Jameis Winston would be a lot of fun in that offense, and you could probably get him on the cheap because right now he's sitting behind 2 dudes in New York. I would love to see that. But if you're the Vikings, if this J.J. McCarthy thing is a little more serious than we're thinking, Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson had some pretty good years together.
Well, but
right?
Do you do that though? Because if you're the Vikings, knowing that your quarterback he's played 8 quarters of football, he's been terrible for 7 of them, and he's been really good for 1. You bring Cousins back.
The 1 quarter was substantial. It was really good. But it was against Chicago. Against Atlanta, he looked hapless.
Right, and Chicago's got 52 points put up on him. The Kirk Cousins back to, it's interesting because, but the problem is if Kirk comes back and they win 3 games, the whole fan base is going to be clamoring for Kirk to still be the quarterback. And McCarthy is a guy who needs time because of the fact that he has not played in basically 2 years. He didn't have the most experience at Michigan. It was not a pass first offense. It was not a out of the shotgun read offense. It was very play action, run the ball. This could be the worst thing for J.J. McCarthy's career if they go back and get Kirk Cousins. But for this season, it would be interesting. I mean, they were a perennial playoff team and Kirk Cousins was there. Now, Kirk Cousins may not be the same quarterback he was 4 years ago, but maybe he goes home. I'm sure his agent's making those calls right now, especially after watching quarterback and how much he talks about missing the Minnesota.
I'm telling you, I don't think it's the worst idea. Now, we have to have a Vikings fan listening right now, so text us if you are, 70470. Start your message with team. If you're a Vikings fan, would you be open to a Kirk Cousins reunion? I don't know what it would take to get him, to be quite honest. I don't know how much Atlanta would be willing to pay of his contract that's remaining. They're paying all of it right now. So I would assume getting any relief would help. It's
funny. It might be a deal where they send a pick. Like they send a pick in the Vikings don't send anything back because the contract is so bad. You'd obviously have to work out a little bit of a buyout. But I mean, it's an interesting conversation. They would be relevant. They would be there.
They'd be a playoff team if Kirk Cousins joined, assuming Kirk Cousins looks a little better than he did coming off that Achilles tear last year at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
Like if he can get back to any sort of form like he was in Minnesota, you're talking about Kirk Cousins, who was a potential
MVP.
Would you
do that though with McCarthy's development?
Personally, I don't think I could. If you think J.J. McCarthy is your future and you're okay with what you saw, like the Vikings probably saw this coming, that he wasn't going to look great in the first couple of games. But they know he has potential to be that guy who he was in the 4th quarter against the Bears and do it against better competition. So the Vikings probably assumed that this was going to be maybe a herky-jerky start and this was going to be kind of rough, but they did not see him getting injured like this. So if he is injured and if it's serious, I'm just saying it's something to think about because they would have rolled with Kirk Cousins for a few more years. It was just Kirk Cousins was asking for too much money.
Well, and it's also like it feels like you're just going back. It's like placing the side bets at the craps table.
For sure.
It's like you kind of keep
digging into your profits.
You're digging into your profits, and you let Sam Darnold go because he didn't have the quote upside as another quarterback. So you keep hedging your bet. You keep doubling down at the blackjack table, and then you let him go, and he looks damn good in Seattle. I mean, the Niners messed him up in week 1, but against a Steeler defense who has been really bad for the first 2 weeks, but on paper is very good. Dissected them yesterday. And now you're going back to the 35-year-old, 36-year-old who Sam Darnold had upside. Sam Darnold's only 27 years old.
For sure.
And
I probably would have kept Sam Darnold if I'm being honest.
Right. What you're saying if you go get Kirk Cousins is that even if you make it clear, if you look at Kirk Cousins and you're like, JJ is the quarterback when he comes back, the second JJ McCarthy plays bad, and it hasn't been great so far, the whole fan base is going to be calling for him. You could completely mess this thing up. It's an interesting decision, though, because if you're looking at this season to sell tickets, you would go get Kirk Cousins back.
I don't know. It's a tricky spot. I don't think I would do it if I was the GM. And also, I don't know if Kirk Cousins would be acceptable.
Well, and also, if you're Justin,
the words you just said, when JJ's healthy, he's the starter again. I don't know that Kirk Cousins wants to be in that situation. That's the situation he's in right now.
I'm curious if Justin Jefferson, who best receiver in football, or if it's not Chase, it's him, go get me Kirk.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Because what if he does that? He's the face of your franchise, even over JJ McCarthy, even though he's a quarterback of the future. What do you do?
Now, after week 1, it was all these positive quotes about how Justin Jefferson would go over to JJ McCarthy and say, hey, man, keep going. You're going to be fine. Blah,
PR
blah, blah.
stunt.
Total PR stunt. After yesterday's game, Justin Jefferson's probably pissed off because he wasn't even looked at outside of that one throw down the middle right before halftime. Justin Jefferson was a non-factor in the game. You can't have that. You have a freaking Ferrari and you got me trying to drive it. We'll see if it changes. I'm curious to see what those two teams do.
JJ Fletcher.
Dude, Bengals, if they added either one of them, I think the offense keeps humming. Jake Browning's not it.
858 is getting after Fletch a little bit. It says Mac Jones for the season.
Is that to be the Vikings starting quarterback? Because that kind of makes sense.
You could flip him for a pick. I think 858 is saying that he's better than Brock Purdy. But
I know. That's what
858, please clarify.
Every single human being I've talked to today is telling me how Mac Jones is so much better than Brock Purdy. I got something to sell you.
70470. Start your message with team.
He's not.
70470.
He played good against the Saints.
Start your message with team. Is it a product of the Kyle Shanahan system, or is Brock Purdy that much better?
Dude, if you really want to open this up, we can, but we got long shots coming up next. I don't want to get into this. I want to make that very clear. That is not me asking for this.
No, I'm curious what the public thinks.
You're just deflecting because the Chiefs suck. All right, San Diego Sports 760. We got long shots coming up next live on the iHeartRadio app. Also, Aztecs football tickets will be given away before this hour is over. Stay here. San Diego Sports 760. SDFC back on the pitch tomorrow night. They got Club Tijuana in the first ever Baja Cup tomorrow at 7. Our coverage will begin at 6:30 with the SDFC kickoff show with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith right here on San Diego Sports 760, your home for SDFC. All right, we got to get into some long shots here in just a second. I did want to update everyone on Circus Survivor. If you're taking this ride with us, Sammy, are on our way to winning potentially $18 million.
It's 18. Is that the pot's at?
18 is what it's at. And I think that's where it's going to stay because they had some 18,700 people enter into it. So the number is at 18,713,000. I can't do math, but that's what it's at. So if Sammy and I last longer than everybody, we win $18 million, which would be pretty cool. I would like that a lot.
Well, it's going to happen.
We're working really hard at it. So we took the Ravens. We survived in advance. We got really close, Sammy, to having an excellent weekend because the Cowboys almost lost to the Giants, which thousands of people picked the Cowboys. And the most picked team of the weekend was the Arizona Cardinals, who you weren't watching because you were watching your Chiefs. But the last 5 minutes of that Cardinals-Panthers game, the Cardinals were trying to give the game away. Dumb penalties, messing up an onside kick operation where the Panthers got it back. And if Bryce Young just could have made 2 or 3 throws, 5,400 people would have gotten knocked out of Circus Survivor.
It would have been beautiful for us.
It would have been beautiful, but the Steelers losing helped us out a lot. The Broncos losing helped us out a lot. And the
Steelers losing.
I already said that one. The other Vikings last night helped us out a lot. So something like 1,500 people got knocked out this weekend. So we're working. We're moving in the right direction. We need a solid pick for week 3. I don't know if you've looked yet. I got a couple games that I really like for it. But Sammy, let's get right into long shots where you're going to make us a little bit of money because that was a bit of a failure this weekend.
We were close. I mean, we got
some of our money back if you flex played.
Michael
wasn't a win.
Michael Penny said I hit the over, and Bud put on a fantastic performance. Bud Crawford, but he fell 20 punches short. So the first round was a little bit of a feel out round. It kind of cooked us in the fight, but close. I did give everyone Crawford money line. So if you have other ways of betting, you came out profitable this week.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Other ways of betting? What?
No, if you have other multifaceted ways of betting, I told you Crawford by decision, and it happened.
Illegal?
Huh?
Isn't that illegal?
Well, these are all hypotheticals, obviously.
Gotcha.
In case anyone from the Federal Bureau of Investigation is listening.
Yeah, they're cracking down on stuff like this. All right, Samuel, let's get to long shots. Go ahead and smash it.
Let's see. Underdogs? That's gold. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait. Got it. It's time for Sammy's long shots.
I'm going to say this off the jump. I usually don't add anything to these, but I feel strongly about one of them.
Okay. You want to give that first?
I would. I'm just going to throw it out there. Say, I'm putting this in my lineup. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to ride with Sammy, ride with Sammy. Baker Mayfield, 1.5 touchdowns thrown tonight. I love that pick. It's a demon. I love it. I'm putting it in mine. You don't have to put it in yours. That's just a little piece I'll throw out there. Primetime Baker Mayfield rarely just
problem with it. Here's why I have a little that makes me a little nervous, and I think Baker Mayfield's gonna have a big game. Tristan Wirfs is out for this game. Star right tackle. Chris Godwin Jr. is out for this game for the Bucs.
Don't need him. You got Mike Evans and Ibuka, whatever his name is.
Emeka Egbuka.
That one. I can't say that.
You're gonna
name.
say this right.
Emeka Egbuka.
Okay. That's not in mine, but if you want to add it, that's fine. Bucky Irving, we're going to start with this game. Houston, Tampa Bay at 4 o'clock. Then we got Chargers, Raiders. So it's at 7. I love it. They're staggering it so we can watch both games. By the way, shout out to Trey on YouTube who hit a 6 for 6 like parlay. Wanted to shout us out. Shout out to FedEx Trey. Bucky Irving. But I think this is going to be a heavy ground game. Some easy dump offs for Baker Mayfield. Again, Tristan Wirfs, star right tackle, is out for this game. Houston's got a really good pass rush. You got Will Anderson there. Danielle Hunter's there. And they got a bad taste in their mouth. The defense played really well against the Rams, and they were kind of all over Matthew Stafford. The offense was abysmal. They did nothing. They had 9 points against the Rams last week. Really anemic offense, which is surprising, especially considering Nico Collins is there. They got some talent on that offense. I think the running game is not quite cooked up for what it's going to be, but I do think Woody Marks, who's a rookie running back out of USC, will actually make a big appearance here in a couple weeks. But for the pick tonight, Bucky Irving, more than 88.5 rush in receiving yards. I know we're always worried a little bit about Rachaad White stealing some carries, but I think this is a heavy ground game early, especially on the road. And Bucky Irving's a tremendous receiving back out of the backfield. I think he gets this, especially to slow down that Houston pass rush, which can be very ferocious at home. On the other side, we have a lightning bolt, which on Prize Picks is a little bit of a discount. CJ Stroud, more than 202.5 pass yards. He should get this. This is just to boost the parlay a little bit. His numbers actually set at 230.5, so Prize Picks gave me a 28-yard discount. I do think CJ Stroud bounces back. The crowd's gonna be going crazy. He has a big day. So more than 202.5 passing yards. Now let's go to the night game. Ashton Jeanty, more than 17 rushing attempts. We're staying away from the touchdown. We're staying away from the yardage. I think this is a heavy dose of run from both teams tonight. Amarian Hampton, Najee Harris for the Chargers, Ashton Jeanty for the Raiders. I think Ashton Jeanty, first game at home, going to be super jacked up. 17 rush attempts. You're going to want to slow down a little bit of that Chargers pass rush with Khalil Mack. Not the same without Joey Bosa, but especially at home, I just think Genty's going to show out, and we're going to see a lot of rushing attempts, and Pete Carroll's going to get him involved early, especially with the fact that Brock Bowers is likely going to play tonight, but is dealing with a knee injury. So you worry about some of the receivers on the boundary. Jacoby Myers, that is not the Raiders' strong suit, is on the boundary, especially with Brock Bowers hurt. We're going to see a lot of Genty tonight. And then on the other side, Justin Herbert, who was phenomenal against my Chiefs last week. I think we got a little bit of an overcorrection here. Less than 260.5 passing yards. I'm going to tell you why. The Chiefs' pass rush, which was very good against the Eagles, was awful against the Chargers. He had all day to throw and hit some pretty easy wide open throws in that game to give him a significant number. The Raider pass rush is going to be all over him tonight. Max Crosby at home. I think this is, again, a heavy running game, especially on the road. Harbaugh's going to want to impose his will against and slow down that Crosby pass rush. I think 260.5 is too big of a number for Justin Herbert. It's a little bit of an overreaction from week 1 in Brazil against the Chiefs. So to recap, Bucky Irving, more than 88.5 rush and receiving yards, more than. CJ Stroud, lightning bolt, more than 202.5 passing yards. Ashton Jeanty, more than 17 rush attempts. And Justin Herbert, less than 260.5 passing yards against the Raiders.
I don't like it. I love it.
Ooh.
We're cooking on a Monday.
If you want to add Mayfield, listen, I'm not against it. I get it. I could see Mayfield getting 2 touchdown passes.
First drive of the game. If you want first touchdown score, by the way, I got that one too. Because first drive of the game, he's going to find Mike Evans for a touchdown.
I'm calling your shot. First drive of the game,
Mike Evans scores a touchdown.
I got to find out on the book.
I'm not saying first touchdown score, because what if the Bucs don't get the ball first? But I think it's a high scoring game. I think both quarterbacks show out a little bit. This is some proving ground for both of them. I like the Bucky Irving pick, though, because I think he's going to be heavily involved in the pass game tonight.
We got it. These are 2 really good matchups tonight. I'm very excited for these games.
I usually hate the Monday night doubleheader because usually they'll try to bury the crappy one early, but I don't think either of these is crappy. I think these are both excellent.
No, the spreads are really tight on these games.
I think Chargers Raiders right here on 760.
Yeah,
and I got Raiders upset tonight. I don't know if I'm the only one.
I think we're gonna see. We're gonna get into an hour 2.
By the way, Chargers losing helps us out a lot in Circus Survivor. This is a heavily picked game.
And just screw the Chargers in general.
And screw the Chargers in general. Sure. I actually like it. And hour 2, Harbaugh, Carroll hate each other. What are we going to see happening tonight? San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for my friend Gary Cooper and Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. They will give you excellent opportunities to take advantage of the latest cutting-edge loan products. Call Gary Cooper today at 858-376-1299. I could talk for an hour about how Gary Cooper is the guy you can trust, how Gary Cooper is going to save you the most amount of money, but I think it all gets summed up with this one little story. My wife, Kendall, and I were looking at a property, looking at a house that we wanted to purchase. We send it over to Gary Cooper. He emails us back immediately and jumps on the phone and says, I will not represent you if you try to buy this house, because Gary knew it was going to be a terrible experience for us. He knew that in the long run, we would be hurt financially by picking that house to move to. That's what Gary Cooper does. He is honest. He will help you. He's not going to try to throw a bunch of smoke and mirrors and shade so that his commission check is the highest it can be. Gary Cooper is going to make sure you are saving the most money possible. Call him today at 858-376-1299. You can visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com. He prides himself on eliminating the smoke and mirrors and shell games when it comes to mortgages. If you want to clear things up, call Gary Cooper today, 858-376-1299, or visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com.
This sports sponsored by the San Diego International Airport. The Padres will be back tomorrow night in New York, taking on the Mets for a 3-game set. And tonight, we've got a doubleheader in the NFL. Bucks in Houston taking on the Texans. The Bucks will be without star right tackle Tristan Wirfs with the points total set at 42.5. And Chargers Raiders, you can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760 at 7 o'clock. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. The total is set at 46.5. But Brock Bowers, they believe, is going to play per Pete Carroll. San Diego International Airport is getting an upgrade. The new Terminal 1 will arrive in 2025, and with it, more space, places to dine and shop, and unique features like an outside terrace overlooking San Diego Bay. Check out all the upgrades at newt1.com.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
No fluff, just facts.
Nice weekend at Petco for the faithful. Still 2.5 behind the Dodgers, with that wild card spot's looking better and better. And week 2 in the NFL.
Right hash, 46, win the game. 4 seconds left in overtime. Good operation. 46, the kick, wins the game. Cowboys win.
Off back, looking, lofting downfield. Got a man wide open. J-Mo. It's yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Sammy.
Touchdown, Philadelphia. I'll make up for
And the champs beat the Chiefs again. No Brock, no Kittle, no problem.
Quick snap from the gun. Pressure coming. Throw wide open. You want Jennings. Open field. 25, 50. He's gone. 5. Touchdown.
Fletch is feeling good today. We talk about it all live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios in the Fletch Zone.
Yeah, it's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long, we're with you until 2 o'clock. John and Jim will take over then. Right before we get to Chargers and Raiders coming up later tonight, which is a game you'll hear here on 760. I do want to get into the Harbaugh Carroll of everything and maybe set the table for why this game means a little bit more. But can we talk about the Jaguars losing a game yesterday that they had no business losing, and Trevor Lawrence throwing 2 interceptions that he had no business throwing? Like Jacksonville, Joe Burrow goes out. You have the lead, and you allow Jake Browning to come back on you. Embarrassing loss for the Jags yesterday. I meant to hit that in hour 1. We never did.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I've been very high on Trevor Lawrence. It's weird watching that. I watched a lot of that game. He looked good on offense. Like, he had 3 touchdowns, and he should have had 4 because Brian Thomas Jr. completely dropped one in the back of the end zone, as well as Diami Brown. So I think it's hard to come on here and crush Trevor Lawrence because watching that game, there were some major missteps for the receiver spot. But yeah, definitely a disappointing loss for the Jags, considering Burrow went out, and that's the team you could be looking for as a tiebreaker there down the stretch of the NFL postseason.
All right, let's go all the way back to March of 2007. That is when Harbaugh accepted the coaching job at Stanford, and then Pete Carroll obviously at USC, which at the time USC was the biggest, baddest program in the country. That is when this rift began between the two of them. In fact, the quotes from that year are Jim Harbaugh talking about short tenures of college coaches at Stanford, said that Carroll would be at USC for 1 more year. That's what I've heard. I heard it inside the staff, is what Jim Harbaugh said about Pete Carroll losing the job at USC within the year. And then a couple days later, Pete Carroll responds by saying if he's going to make statements like that, he got to get his information right. And if he has any questions about it, he should just give me a call. From 2007, they obviously play each other a bunch. We know about the punt that it didn't end up being a punt from Pete Carroll. These two coaches never got along throughout their entire college tenure. And now as we get all the way through the 2010s, when Jim Harbaugh gets hired as the 49ers head coach, Pete Carroll is the Seahawks head coach, some of the most legendary matchups that really shaped my NFL fandom were between those two teams. Pete Carroll, Seahawks history. Those were incredible games with those two going against each other. And they hated each other then too, by the way. And now we come up to present day, where I think a lot of people, myself, thought maybe Pete Carroll wasn't ever going to get another head coaching job, at least at the NFL level. And I felt the same way about Jim Harbaugh after we went back to Michigan and had so much success. A lot of people thought this option for this matchup was gone. Pete Carroll then gets hired with the Las Vegas like we're back. Hopefully it's working. Maybe drop us a comment if you're watching on YouTube or X that it is working. We'd love to see that. Sammy, where are we starting with hour number 2?
All right. What matchup? We got Tampa Bay Bucks heading to Houston tonight, and then we got the Raiders hosting the Chargers. What matchup do you think it's going to be What matchup do you think will be a better game, and what matchup are you more excited for tonight?
I really like both of them. I'm a Baker Mayfield fan. I like him a lot. I just think he's fun and he's good for the game of football. And I like CJ Stroud a lot too. We'll see if he can kind of get back after a disappointing week out in week 1. But Bucks Texans is maybe the more fun matchup for me. I actually think Chargers Raiders is the better matchup. The Raiders are good. We can put away the notion that they're a bad football team who's just the bottom of the AFC West. They might still be the bottom of the AFC West, but that's sort of a product of just a really, really good division. They got some pieces, man. Geno Smith is a good quarterback. Brock Bowers is one of the best tight ends in football, if not the best tight end in football. And I think tonight might be a little bit of an Ash and JT coming out party. I think he's going to be really good. I do have the Raiders upsetting the Chargers in Las Vegas. If there's one team that the Raiders can at least match up with in terms of a crowd perspective and have a little bit of a home field advantage, it is the Chargers. So this place should be painted with silver and black tonight. And I like the Raiders to win, but it's going to be a win in a grinding game that is going to be extremely physical, dominated by big hits and good defense. But I think Max Crosby goes off a little bit tonight, and I think the Raiders end up actually winning this one. So give me game number 2 for the better game, game number 1 for a little more excitement.
Okay, yeah. As being a Chiefs fan, I'm super excited for game number 2. There's a lot of implications on this game.
You want the Raiders to win so bad.
Yeah, I'll be honest. As someone who's hated the Chargers for a long, long time, and this is just a message to San Diego, whether a lot of you were Charger fans before and when they left or they're dead to you, maybe there's a lot of closet Charger fans still. I got a lot of DMs from Charger fans. I was like, a lot of people are still rooting for the Chargers.
Damn, dude, sliding into Sammy Long's DMs. That's got to be the lowest of humanity.
Just
Any
know
pictures?
I just know that if you are a Charger hater, the fall is coming. And I've hated on this team a lot longer than you have. Just let them talk. Let them do their thing, because this is their Super Bowl, their parade tonight. It will come, and it will be glorious, and your pal Sam will be there when it happens. Now, besides,
what is this Rome? What are we talking about here? It's not like the Chargers have ever been to the top of the mountain.
No, I hear about how the Chargers going to Super Bowl from everyone now.
It's a historically terrible franchise.
No, I know it is. I'm reminding some people about that who forget that. In terms of the games tonight, yes. I think the late matchup is going to be fantastic between the Raiders and the Chargers. Kind of highlighted that. I'm excited to see if the Raiders offense can take advantage of the boundaries for the Chargers, because that's the major question mark for the Raiders. You look at the Raiders, they have a lot of spots where you'd be like, oh, that creates a good team. They have a good running back, excellent number 1 receiver and at tight end and Brock Bowers. You have an amazing pass rush. Has the secondary gotten better? That's been the Raiders' bugaboo the last 10 years. The secondary's been awful. I've literally never seen the Raiders secondary have talent. And then how can Geno do? In the first game, though, like, this is a battle of two teams that feels like they're perennial playoff teams and they're solid teams. They're even good teams, but they don't get a respect at the Super Bowl level.
Because they don't play in very good divisions.
I think that has a major aspect of it, and they haven't always come up in the biggest moments. I'm curious how Houston responds, because they were the sexy Super Bowl pick last year. Did not work out that way. A really awful week 1. Surprising how bad the offense was. And can CJ Stroud get back to a point where people were talking about him as ascending into a top quarterback? He has not been that the last year. And then Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, all they do feel like they do is win big games. And again, they don't really get that respect in the NFC. You're looking, McCarthy's injured. Jaden Daniels is injured. The Eagles, I don't think, are an invincible team, even though I would take them to beat the Buccaneers. It feels like the Buccaneers can make some headway in the NFC. And like after the Lions and the Eagles and the Rams, I mean, wouldn't the Bucs be that 4th team? Maybe they have a shot to be that 4th team. I don't know. So I'm excited about this game tonight, but I guess I'd probably go with the night game.
Yeah, I like them both, man. This is fun. I think the first game has some big fantasy implications for you Nico Collins owners, you Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud owners. And then game number 2 is just, I think, a really good grinded out battle between these two teams. It's going to be one on the ground. I do think that it's going to be Amari and Hampton and Ashton Janty who are doing a lot of the heavy lifting tonight. And I think it's going to be won by the coaches. This is going to be a game plan victory for either one of them, but it's going to be who executes better on the special teams plays, the plays we all forget about. I can't wait for this, man. Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh going head-to-head. This is one of the rare games in the NFL where you look forward to the head coaches meeting either pregame or postgame to see if anything crazy happens. All right, quick break. When we come back, let's talk about these Padres, man, what they need to do this week to ensure their spot in the postseason, because I do think we can have a clear answer by the end of the week where the Padres are going to end up being. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. People always ask me if it's good to be right. And I say on Prize Picks, it is good to be right. So download the app today. Prize Picks. Use promo code Fletch when you do. That is FLETCH. That is going to get you a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 line. We're doing for tonight, me and Sammy. Baker Mayfield half. Oh, that's not right. It was supposed to be rushing attempts, and I put receiving yards in, but hopefully that works out.
Don't be screwing up my parlay.
I'm sorry, Sammy. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code Fletch. When you do, you're going to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks. It is good to be right, and football is here. Every game matters. Don't miss a moment this season with Prize Picks. Your favorite players are ready for the season. It's time for you to cash in on their stats, go more than or less than after you use promo code Fletch. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup, because on Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We got NFL action tonight here on San Diego Sports 760 when the Las Vegas Raiders take on the Los Angeles Chargers as part of a Monday Night Football doubleheader. Pregame coverage will get going at 6:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. All right, let's play that fun little game. If the postseason started today, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then and get deeper into the Padres. But let's do this right now. If the postseason started today in the National League, Brewers would be the 1 seed. Phillies the 2 seed, Dodgers the 3 seed, Cubs 4, Padres 5, Mets 6, which means the Padres would be going to Chicago for the wild card series against the Cubs, and the Mets would be going to Los Angeles for a 3-game series against the Dodgers. Now, a lot of this can still change. I think the Padres are essentially locked into the 5 seed if they play well this week, and if the Dodgers don't fall off a cliff. The Mets are absolutely not locked into that 6 seed. There are now the Giants and the Diamondbacks both charging hard to try to take that spot away from the Mets. Sammy, what are the numbers? Where are the Giants and D-backs at?
I'll pull it right in front of me. The Diamondbacks.
One of them was 1.5. One of them was 2.
The Giants are 1.5 back of the Mets. The Diamondbacks are 2, and the Reds are 2.5.
Ooh, so I guess the conversation should go. If the Padres, well, I guess if they play against the Cubs in the first and get past them, they'd be playing against the Brewers. But the conversation should be, who do you want to play? Who do you want to allow into the postseason? If you're the Padres, who, by the way, might have an opportunity to allow a team in the Diamondbacks into the postseason with that final series of the season. They might, if the D-backs are right there on the edge, if you lose the 3 games, the Diamondbacks could get in over the Mets or the Giants.
Well, and that's what sucks for the Padres is just like we were talking about how the Brewers at the end of the year, you look at that, you're like, oh, the Brewers are number 1 seed in the NL. They might, if they get the number 1 seed locked up. Now the Phillies do have a shot to try to run them down, but they play the Dodgers starting tonight, so we're gonna know a lot of the next 3 games. For the Padres, you're wanting the Brewers to not be playing for anything, because then you look at that 3-game set and you're like, all right, that's not the Padres should win that. Yeah, it does suck now that the Diamondbacks are going to be back in this thing because you looked at them as kind of rolling over. And now all of a sudden they're winning all these games. The offense is coming to life. In terms of the 6th spot, because if it's as of right now, they be going to LA. I'm sure the Dodgers don't want to mess with the Mets. The Mets have actually had a lot of success against the Dodgers this year. And in a short series, despite them really struggling, Alonso, Lindor, Soto, Vientos, they have a pretty good pitching staff. Like that's not a team that if I'm LA, I'd want to be playing. Now, they've won all the series against the Padres, or not the Padres, the Giants so far this year. So the Dodgers probably feel good about that. But then the Diamondbacks, you're looking at this and going like, they're about to get on a little bit of a heater, and it's kind of how they got in the playoffs a few seasons ago. In terms of the Padres, they're looking at the Cubs. That's going to come down to bats because the Padres are going to have a major bullpen advantage. The thing you worry about with the Cubs is you have Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanaga. So that's 2 aces going for the Cubs. Who's going to step up for the Padres? You're going to have Pivetta going against one of them, and you got to have someone else step up and be a shutdown because you can't have the pitching disadvantage in every matchup. And that's going to come to who's going to be better. I mean, the bats for the Cubs are great. The bullpen's not. And then the Padres are tough to figure out with the bats because sometimes they're unreal, and then sometimes you don't know where they're at. But the next 2 weeks are going to be fantastic about who does get in that final wild card spot because I think all of these teams are live dogs to potentially upset the Dodgers or the Padres if they were to get in.
Now the Brewers, who have kind of come back to earth recently, are 5-5 over their last 10. They have left the door open for the Philadelphia Phillies to take over that number 1 seed. Phillies just 2 games back of the Brewers as of right now. The Dodgers, who are playing against the Phillies, who are red hot. If the Dodgers lose the next 3 and the Padres get some juice going, you're looking at a potential of hosting the first series. There's a lot that can still happen. 12 games left. The possibilities are endless.
Let's play hypothetical. Let's say right now this does not seem plausible because they're 2.5 games back and then they lose the tiebreaker. But let's just say the Dodgers do have a tough schedule this week. They got the Phillies and the Giants. Let's say they tank and the Padres are able to pass them. And let's say you have a choice between playing the Mets, Giants, or Diamondbacks. Rank those, Fletch. In Texas, too. 70470. Start your message with team. Out of those 3 teams, the Diamondbacks, Giants, and the Mets, if the Padres were to overtake the Dodgers, what team would you least like to play?
Least, I would still say the Mets. Now, that can change if the Diamondbacks are on an absolute tear going into that series. I think the most you would want to play would be the San Francisco Giants because the Padres have dominated the Giants this year. It hasn't even been close. It has been every single time these 2 teams square off with each other, the Padres have come away with a winner. I would take the Giants personally. If you somehow work yourself into that 3 seed, you would want the Giants to be the 6. Now, playing against the Cubs, the interesting question becomes in round 2, would you rather play the Phillies or the Brewers? And I think that is no doubt the Brewers. The Phillies have much more proven postseason experience than anyone on the Brewers. Schwarber and Harper can beat you by themselves. And Schwarber's had a fantastic year. Yes. So you almost want that 1 seed to remain the Milwaukee Brewers. And that's a problem because the Padres are going to have to play them and hand them some losses here coming up.
Our guy Quacked on Padres says he would like to avoid the Giants. So it's interesting. In the first question, we'll get to the Brewers and Phillies in a second. First question, I would most like to play the Diamondbacks despite them getting hot. And I'll tell you why, because of the matchup against the Padres. Their bullpen is awful. It's ranked 26 in baseball. It was terrible for most of the year, and then at the deadline they got rid of a few arms. The bullpen is awful, and I think in the postseason in a pressure-filled spot with the series, it would be in San Diego. I don't see that them being able to hang on because of the bullpen. The Giants make me a little nervous. I would at least like to play the Mets because of the power sluggers, and I do think that the Mets on any 3-game series, especially in a short series, could be really dangerous.
You ready for some of the scores Padres have put on the Giants this year? 11-1, August 13th, 5-1, August 12th, 5-1, August 19th, 8-4, August 21st, 8-1, August 20th. Like, they have dominated the Giants this year.
But the Giants pitching staff overall, take that away, has been very solid. And with the Padres' lack of night in, night out production from the bats, it makes you a little nervous against a team that can shut people down because overall they have a really good pitching staff. Whereas the Diamondbacks, the bullpen is awful. And then if let's say the Padres advance, let's say they go the Brewers and the Phillies. That's the interesting question because the Brewers, right, as you've mentioned, Fletch, don't have any experience. And you look at that team and you go, I mean, Jackson Churio, guys like that, they've been great all year, but are they going to shrink in the postseason? The only big name on the team is Christian Yelich, and he isn't even their best player.
And Mizorowski, who's a rookie.
But the problem with the Phillies is you look at them, Trey Turner is injured right now. Wheeler's out for the year. So they've had some massive injuries, but the Phillies do kind of have that, like that would literally come down to Machado and Tatis, and Schwarber and Harper. Who is going to produce, and who do you have more faith in? 615 said Padre fans should want to avoid everybody in the postseason.
Well, that would mean they're not in the postseason, so I don't think that one's possible there. Let's get some of these YouTube comments. They're pretty good here. People letting us know the stream is back and working. Rich saying, iHeart switch to some other clowns for a bit to avoid dead air. Makes you appreciate Fletch and Sammy.
Oh, I appreciate you, Rich.
We appreciate you, Rich. I don't know what happened. Did our entire building lose internet for 5 minutes?
Yeah, I was getting texted. I was trying to get it. The whole internet lost. Yeah. So we're back now. The stream's back. iHeart app's back.
Apparently, I had a funny frozen face situation, according to Quacked on Padres. Might have to go back and screenshot that.
He said it was hypnotizing.
He also says I would want to take on the Giants, and then says actually avoid any NL West opponent. Last thing we need is a dogfight in the first round.
It is tough. If you're the Dodgers or the Padres and you take a draw with the Diamondbacks,
am I the only one that looks at every team in the National League and say, if I'm the Padres, I would want to play against the Giants? You've had ownage over them this year.
And that's fair. It is fair.
And who else other than the Rockies have the Padres consistently been able to put up runs against? The answer is nobody.
It's fair, but you do worry. I mean, let's look. The Padres gave the Dodgers have had a taste of their own medicine of this for multiple years. The Padres in 2022, the Dodgers on paper were a way better team than the Padres. And look what happened in 4 games. The Padres come in and beat them. And then you look the next year, the Diamondbacks, that Dodgers team was pretty flawed. The pitching staff was awful, but the Diamondbacks go sweep them. So when you're playing an NL West opponent, just like how you look at, that's why we give them credit for beating the Rockies, despite the Rockies being a terrible team. When a team plays you so much, they're not scared of you. They don't have the aura factor of, oh, this is the Dodgers, this is the Yankees. Like you kind of throw it out the window. So I do understand what Quacked on Padres is saying. It's like, if you could prefer, maybe the Mets have more talent, but would you necessarily like to see the Diamondbacks and the Giants, who know, by the way, your bullpen very well, the strength of your team, and has seen that bullpen time in and time out? That would be a little scary in round 1.
All right, quick break here. Coming up on the other side, let's get into some more NFL action. Plus, we got some sound from a head coach in college football that you just have to hear. We'll talk about it next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Actually, wait, we need to give away tickets right now. I forgot to do it. Aztecs football tickets on the line right now for their game this weekend against Cal. It's a 7:30 kickoff. If you want to buy tickets, go Aztecs.com. If you want to win them, call right now. 877-767-4760. You can win a pair of tickets for the Aztecs game this weekend. You're listening live to San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport's sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Padres are off today. They'll be back tomorrow taking on the New York Mets in New York for a 3-game set. They're currently 2.5 games back of the Dodgers for the NL West crown. And then tonight, doubleheader in the NFL, 4:00 at an early game. Tampa Bay heading into Houston to take on the Texans. Houston is currently a 2.5-point favorite. The point total is set at 42.5, and the Chargers are in Vegas taking on the Raiders. Chargers are currently a 3.5-point favorite. You can hear that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. The sport has been sponsored by Dave & Buster's.
Text line's doing it on purpose, Sammy, and I know that. I get that, and it's funny. But I would think you'd want to sound a little smarter. I really do. It's San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long. We're with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. Let's rip through some of these texts. 747. Purdy is a good backup quarterback, Ben. Get the first pick in the draft. Let him develop over the next decade. The Chiefs are the only team that can honestly start 1-5 and finish 12-5. No team can lose their top 2 wide receivers and survive in today's NFL. I can't hear you, Sammy. Your mic's not on. But what are we talking about? Purdy's a good backup quarterback. I don't really get this.
Well, the second half of that, 747, you sound like a very smart person about the Chiefs. But no, Brock Purdy, in Fletch's defense, now I'd love to come on here and bash the Niners and make fun of Fletch.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's being a little blown out of proportion just because Mac Jones played well. Yes, is Kyle
Colin
Shanahan
Cowherd today saying the same thing? Colin Cowherd rage baiting, and it worked. Colin
Kyle Shanahan, yes. Does he have a quarterback friendly system where you're not having to do progressive reads? It's a excellent run scheme, run first offense. Yes. And I do think that contributes to a lot of success for Brock Purdy. Jimmy G had this and this, but yes, Brock Purdy has earned the respect that he is much better than Mac Jones. And Mac Jones, we've seen in an offense in New England, was anemic and had nowhere to do with the ball. I think it's more of a testament to Kyle Shanahan as the head coach than it is a knock on Purdy.
You know what no one's saying today? Oh, the Niners, who probably should have beat the Saints by 14 points, only beat them by 5. Mac Jones played great, did good enough to win. I'm glad he was the quarterback yesterday. That got the 49ers a win they desperately needed. But going as far as to say that he is as good or better than Brock Purdy is a marijuana smoking take. 949, not sure if this has been mentioned yet, but Fletch should rename his dog to Mac Jones. He will take the Niners to the promised land. Brock should get traded. All right, we're having fun here.
I think that's our guy, Alexander.
Thank you, Alexander. 858. Did you guys just lose your job on the radio? Yeah, that was a little scary for a minute there, Sammy.
Yeah, dude, there's nothing harder than when you're talking live on air and then the shout out to all our engineers who are working their ass off back there, but are texting us and asking me to check things. I'm like, it's like a stimulation overload when we get thrown off the air.
858. You guys should do an event at Dave & Buster's one of these Sundays.
Yeah.
I mean, I like watching football all day on my couch on Sunday and nobody talking to me about anything, but I could do this. I would be happy to do this.
I would love to do this, not during a Chiefs game, but
yeah, It'd be nice if maybe it was like if the Chiefs and the Niners both have primetime games that week, do a Sunday morning just for the 10 o'clock window.
We have a little Fletch Zone watch party.
I would do that in a heartbeat. 858. Phillies are the only team the Padres should not want to play at all ever again. No one to fear in division, and Mets suck. Cubs aren't that much better. I agree. Phillies, you do not want them to get the 1 seed if you're the 5 seed. You want them to get the 1 seed if you're the 3 seed.
I would rather take this is contingent on Trey Turner coming back and some of their injuries. Aaron Nola had a little bit of a tricky injury, but he's back. Assuming that they're there, yes, I would rather play Milwaukee. Now, if Trey Turner and these guys are out, I think that limits some of the it's really on Harper and Schwarber to carry the load. But
I would rather play anyone in the National League except for the Phillies if I'm the Padres. I feel like Schwarber and Harper in big moments are 2 of the better players in all of Major League Baseball, and they have 2 of them who can absolutely swing a game and swing a series on one swing of the bat each.
Yes, and I know people don't want to hear this, but the Dodgers offense does look like it's back.
Mookie Betts all of a sudden is MVP again.
I mean, and Will Smith's not even there. So not that the Padres can't beat the Dodgers, because I do think a little bit of what Quacked On Padres was saying on our stream earlier is a little bit when the NL West get together, the Padres and Dodgers don't fear each other. It's an intense rivalry. So that does work in the Padres' favor. But this season, we have not seen them actually beat the Dodgers. We've seen them, or over the course of the 3-game series on the last time they did, but over the course of a season, the Dodgers have had the advantage. I would rather catch the Dodgers in a shorter series than a longer series because of the starting rotation.
Sammy, I did not check with you over the commercial break, but do you have that Brian Kelly sound somewhere quick?
I do. Let me grab it.
While you're doing that, I'm going to tell a quick, very funny story. So we gave away Aztecs football tickets in the last segment, and it was great. I ended up getting to chat with my buddy Larry on the phone, who won those tickets. Congrats, Larry. I hope to see you Saturday. If you're coming to the Aztecs game, stop by. Jared Tolver and I will get going at 5:30 out in the parking lot. I haven't talked to Larry in a couple years, so that was nice to get to chat with him. However, I usually don't answer the phone when we're doing prizing. Sammy is usually the one who you'll call in, you'll talk to Sammy, and he'll get your information, put it in the system. That goes to our promotions
we love talking
team.
to people.
That gets you the tickets. Sammy usually handles that. I had to handle it this time. The reason being, I went into the read for the giveaway, and I don't know if you're watching on stream or not, but or if this came over the mic, I could audibly hear Sammy yelling in the other room, "Dude, I'm about to pee my pants."
I was like,
we can't do the giveaway right now because Sammy had to run to the bathroom.
I was like, no, I was like holding it all segment. I'm like, I have to go so bad. And he's like, hold on, we're going to do a ticket giveaway. I was like, absolutely not. I want to give the people their tickets, but there was going to be an accident in the studio if we did not get to the emergency
Sammy was
bathroom.
gone for like 4 minutes. Was that like a world record?
Hey, efficient. We got things to do on the radio.
It was like 4 minutes.
I did run into Charger fans in the bathroom though, who were chirping a little bit, which is a little frustrating.
Kind of crazy, if you ask me. But I'm glad that went well for you, Sammy. And Larry, congratulations, Ben. I hope to see you on Saturday. All right, do we have Brian Kelly? A little taste of this. So LSU gets the win this weekend. Their head coach Brian Kelly afterwards. The first question he gets asked isn't about the win or anything. It's about how crappy the offense was in the win. Let's hear how Brian Kelly responded.
Brian in the back, I know you love these immediate post-game sessions, but what are you seeing with your offense?
Stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. What do you want me to tell you? I just laid it out for you. We played the game to win the game. We played the game to win the game.
All right. How about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. Won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think people want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's ridiculous questions.
So I'll be honest here.
It keeps going, by the way. We're going to cut it.
And then the next guy who asked the question is about one of his defenders who had a pair of interceptions in the game. And he was like, no, that's a great question. It does keep going. And Brian Kelly gets more and more pissy about it. What he's saying is not wrong. Like, it's an SEC win. They were playing Florida, right? Do I have that right?
Florida, yeah.
Like, you're playing against Florida. LSU gets the win. And the first question was about how crappy the offense is. Now, the media has every right to ask whatever question they want to any head coach, and I would defend that to my dying breath. However, Brian Kelly, what he's saying is not wrong. And I think if he handled it a little bit differently, he's like, yeah, look, we did have our third down struggles today, but look how proud I am of this team that overcame those struggles. The defense stepping up, picking up the offense, and getting that win would probably be the more PC way to do things. But then Sammy and I wouldn't have a segment to talk about it on the radio. So I'm glad Brian Kelly did what he did.
He just apologized to the reporter for this. I would agree with you normally, Fletch, but I have a problem with Brian Kelly on this. Brian Kelly has lost every opener he's had at LSU, except for this season. And he has promised to bring a championship. LSU has fell short of expectations every year since he got there. And kudos to him this year. They had a big win over Clemson, who, by the way, that win doesn't look as good now because Clemson, Dabo Swinney, that's another thing, is 1-2. After Dabo Swinney was talking about how they were about to go undefeated this season, and they're 1-2 through 3 weeks. Brian Kelly, it's like that's what happens when you take the job at LSU. There are massive expectations that came with that. Coach O won it with Joe Burrow and Jefferson and Jamar Chase a few years ago. You don't get yes. Was it it's a fair question. The offense wasn't good. They put up 20 points against a Florida team that I know was ranked big, but got beat by a USF team, South Florida, who everyone was high on, and then got destroyed by Miami this weekend. So it's not that it's not a fair question. Brian Kelly is extremely reactionary. He did this last year when he lost to Lincoln Riley in USC week 1. It's just, it's odd to me why Brian Kelly has this victim mentality. And it's like, you haven't won anything yet.
He really talks with his hands a lot too. He's like, "What are you talking about? We're fine."
Yeah, it's like, and this drives me. I mean, we've been talking about this with even Padres. I mean, like Manny Machado not speaking in the media. And this is not just a Machado hit piece, but it's like, it's funny to me when head coaches and star players think that they can just evade the media. Yes, was that question a little antagonizing? Yes, I guess for the first question, but I'm happy that the reporter went with it and asked follow-up questions. It was a fair question. I think it's crazy when star players and head coaches just want to avoid the media and not answer for what's happening on the field.
Now, one person who's definitely happy about it is the Tennessee kicker, who I feel terrible for coming into today. I don't know if you got to catch the end of that Tennessee-Georgia game that ended up being an overtime game, but Tennessee was on the verge of upsetting Georgia. One of the biggest moments in school history, potentially, if he knocks that through. And he missed it, which only got made worse because he had essentially the exact same field goal opportunity in overtime and made that one, but a field goal wasn't enough at that point. I felt terrible for that Tennessee kid. I think his name's Gilbert, the kicker. He looked lost the second he got out on the field. I was watching that game with my brother. He's like, no shot this kid makes it. He looks too scared.
Dude, and how about, like, that was the great game of the weekend, and then, the rest of them, there wasn't like a ton of great matchups after week one. How about UCLA firing Deshaun Foster after starting 0-3 and Nico Maliava transferring from Tennessee, by the way. And I know they lost the game, but Joey Aguilar looks like he's a tremendous quarterback. It wasn't for a lack of points. UCLA, woo!
Good weekend of college football. We got another good one coming up next. All right, let's give away some tickets right now. Billy Idol, Joan Jett, and the Blackhearts, September 23rd at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. If you want to buy tickets, you can at Ticketmaster.com. If you want to win them, let's go caller number 7 right now. 877-767-4760. Sammy, you don't have to run to the bathroom or anything.
No,
right?
I am answering the phone.
All right, give Sammy a call. 877-767-4760. If you're caller number 6, caller number 6, you're going to the show. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. We're going to make some picks coming up next. Don't go anywhere. San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long. Just a few more minutes left here. We haven't mentioned it yet, but we're happy for our boy. Pretty cool moment this weekend. Rich Ornberger went back to Penn State, back to Happy Valley for a celebration of the 2005 Big Ten championship team that he was a part of. And not only did he go back, not only was he honored on the field with all of his teammates from that season, but they also gave him the mic and he got to lead the "We Are" chant, which is a big deal at Penn State, even though it's kind of silly. We are, like, we are. Oh, but Rich got to lead that in front of 110,000 people. Talking to him this morning, that was pretty meaningful for him. That was a cool moment.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was scrolling on Instagram and I was like, "Is that Rich?" I was like, that was so awesome, man. No, Rich is the best. Super cool that he was being honored, and only Rich Ornberger can, entertain a crowd of 100,000 and everyone's going crazy. So
almost as cool as like introducing Creed on stage. I'd say that's like the second coolest thing he's done in front of a huge crowd of people.
You saying Creed's cooler than Penn State?
I mean, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I think
it's funny how we have two Penn State boys, in Schaefer and Ornberger.
Too many Penn State people. Too many in one.
I mean, some people have said that
cluster
about the Niners, on this station, but that's, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's enough Niners fans. I really don't.
I think it's been said.
But Ornberger going back to Penn State. If you haven't seen that video yet, we posted it to 1015 KGB on Instagram. You can find it there. He really loved that moment. It was a cool moment. Happy for him. Happy for that team, I guess. And we are. Him and LeVar Arrington, they always just, we are. I think it's so
Shout out
silly.
to the big fella.
All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. Before we get out of here, we got two Monday night football games tonight, a little doubleheader, and they did separate them. Is one game going to be completely over by the time the second starts?
Yeah, it's at the Bucks in Texas games at 4:00 and the Chargers Raiders at 7. You can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760.
Love it. Pregame coverage gets going at 6:30 tonight. Let's make some picks, Sammy. Give us the odds on each game.
All right, so we'll go game one. Houston is favored by 2.5, and the point total is set at 42.5. Where are you going? You going
I
over?
think you know where I'm going at this one. Tampa Baker is going to win this game. So upset, sure, but definitely covering the spread. But I'll go Bucks money line on this and give me over 42.5. I think we get into shootout territory here in the second half.
I would go Bucks. I'm going to go Texans simply because I do think the pass rush not having Tristan Wirfs is going to be a big deal. Will Anderson's going to have a day. So I'll go Houston minus 2.5. And then I will go with the over. I think over 42.5. I think both offenses get right. This line is a little low considering I think it's because of how bad the Texans played week one, but I expect both offenses to have a pretty good day. I do think Houston edges it out at home.
All right, where are we at with Chargers Raiders?
All right, so the Chargers are favored by 3.5 in Vegas with the point total set at 46.5. Where are we heading on that?
I think I'm going to go still an upset in this one. Give me Raiders money line, but for sure covering the spread. And I'm going under 46.5. I don't like that at all. I would not take the over on that. I think this is going to be an ugly, real mucky game tonight between the Raiders and the Chargers.
I agree with you. I would definitely take the Raiders in the spread. I keep going back and forth. I kind of do think the Raiders are going to pull the upset tonight. I'm going to roll with the Raiders money line, but I would, to be safe, I think 3.5. They're giving me the hook after the field goal. I would definitely take that plus 3.5. And the point total, I'm with you. I think 46.5. They're baiting us. This is especially with how much these teams run the football. Not as many possessions going back the other way. Brock Bowers injured. I don't think Herbert has as big of a day as he did against the Chiefs. I do think the under hits here under 46.5.
I think you have a situation where the Chargers are probably coming in thinking they're a little bit better than they are because of the way they handled the Chiefs. The Chiefs, who were, by the way, injured, hurt, without their top target in terms of the passing game plan that was installed in the week. Xavier Worthy leaving the game as early as he did. I think that this is a situation where everything is going to flip back the other way. Raiders, I think, are better than people think they are. So give me the Raiders tonight.
Let's go Pete tonight.
Let's go Pete Carroll. Show that Jim loser who's boss. Khaki pants suck. All right, we're done for today. John and Jim are coming up next. Thank you for being here. It was a pleasure as always. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.